Hello, welcome to the Quality for Leaders Hub. I'm Noshiba Degani and I'm one of the co-leads of the Excellence Through Quality Improvement Project. In this module, we're learning about the leader's role in advancing quality in their organization. I'm talking to Dr. Amar Shah, who will share his reflections on healthcare leadership for quality. Dr. Shah is the National Clinical Director for Improvement in England, where he leads the application of improvement across England's health and care system. Prior to this, Dr. Shah led the quality work at the East London Foundation Trust. The East London Foundation Trust, or ELFT, provides community mental health, primary care, and specialty care services for approximately 1.7 million people in East London. ELFT formally launched a quality improvement program in 2014 in response to a series of quality events. Over the last year and a bit, they've been sharing their reflections on a decade of quality improvement work. Thank you, Dr. Shah, for taking the time to talk to us today.
Absolute pleasure.
So ELF started its quality journey as a result of a series of safety events. As I read it, this was a critical factor to the initiation of ELF's quality journey, and I doubt you would want others to have to go through what you went through to get started. In resource-constrained settings, and where there has not yet been a catalyst event, what's the business case to focus on quality?
So you're right that in East London, there were a series of deaths which caused the leadership team at the time to stop and reflect on what they were paying attention to and their approach to creating a culture in the organization. But I'm not sure that every single organization has to wait for safety events to occur before they really think about how they lead. There can be all kinds of provocations to us that the way we lead, that our approach to quality is not delivering what we need it to or what people would expect from us. Many organizations, as an example, have used another kind of uh, tension around finances, for example, to really ask the question about, is our existing way of leading and managing going to enable us to deliver what we need to do over the next few years? And how do the very best in the world do that? For me, that second part of the question, like looking outwards at what can we learn from other places that are really high performing, is perhaps an even more important question to look at. And I think there does need to be some way for leaders to stop and reflect on how effective their current mental model, their current behaviors and approach to work is, and whether there's an alternative that could get them even better results. And that sort of creative tension is something that we do need to create. But it could come from a range of sources. It could come from a new leader who comes with a different kind of experience and some wisdom about what it takes to build high performance. It could come from perhaps most powerfully our own patients and communities telling us what they would want from us and encouraging us to think about different ways to achieve that. It can come from safety events. It can also come from financial underperformance. But the other way I think we can think about shifting mindset. I mean, you talk about a business case, and there is there is a business case to make here. But more importantly than that, I think it's a leadership mindset that we need to shift. There is obviously the pounds and dollar signs that we have to think about in terms of how much do we need to invest, what are we likely to see from this in the future. But much more importantly, for us as leaders, we need to really reflect and evaluate our own mental model about high performance, about delivery, about problem solving. And sometimes just going and seeing some other places can be enough to open your eyes to what another approach to this. Because most of us have reached senior leadership roles because we have become fantastic problem solvers. And actually, at some point you have to realize, and someone has to help you see that problem solving is no longer your job. Actually, your job is to create the conditions for others to problem solve. And that requires a different set of skills. That sometimes we have to unlearn things and learn new things. Coaching can be a very powerful enabler to that too. But the real opportunity is to just to find the creative tension that allows a leader to stop or a leadership team to stop, to pause, to reflect. What is our existing mindset? What is our existing theory about how to deliver? And are there alternative theories that would help us get even better and faster results for the people we're here to serve?
I love the reflection on the role of leader and the evolving, what gets us to leadership, and then how that has to change for us. In listening to your podcast and reviewing the white paper that offers your reflections on 10 years at ELFT, I was impressed at the wide and deep engagement of the leadership team in quality. It really permeated at the C-suite roles, and it took substantial financial and time commitment. What's the role of the leader in moving forward a quality agenda? And what are the low-cost structures that they could implement now if they didn't have additional resources?
Well, it's in some ways it's easy to look at what we have in the organization that I've been part of for the last 15 years, to look at what we have now and say this is, what we should aspire to. But, you know, 12, 13 years ago, we did not have the sort of deep infrastructure or skills that we do today. 12 or 13 years ago, there was no quality department to speak of. The organization had almost zero improvement skills. And it was literally, one or two people who were trying to generate some conversations and energy about a different approach to quality. So I don't buy into the philosophy that you need a lot of money or you need a lot of people to actually make change happen. What you do need is you need some energy, you need a very clear proposition. Where are we heading to? And how can we all be part of something that takes us in that direction? And for me, the sort of more important skills are about how do we engage people? How do we communicate? How do we bring people with us? How do we make this feel like it's something exciting, but also something that's tangible and manageable for people in their work? And that's what it takes, I think, to create a culture of quality. It's less about a formal structure or a program or resources or investment. I mean, those things are important. They will come. They need to be there. But much more fundamental is connecting with your wide range of people in different roles and connecting to their intrinsic motivation to make a difference and showing them that there is a better way for us all to work together to make a difference. And that takes relational skills. It takes sort of engagement skills and communicating and influencing skills, much more than it takes technical improvement skills or a business case and investment. And that's what I think the role is for leaders is to create that purpose, that sense of purpose, and make it a long lasting, or the constancy of purpose that Deming talked about. And making sure everybody feels like they have a role to play in that. It's not just something for a few people in the quality team to do, but it's an endeavor for all of us to be part of.
Yeah, I love the reflections on vision and constancy and setting priorities and curiosity as you go through. I think it's also really nice to hear you say that when you started, you didn't have these resources. I think that's going to be reassuring to organizations who are really early in their journey. I've heard you describe the quality management system at ELF, and I have to say I'm very jealous. Can you describe how the quality work at ELF has evolved into a quality management system? What's the playbook to set up a comparable structure in a smaller organization?
Great question. The first thing I would say is if you think there's a playbook, disabuse yourself of that notion. I don't think there really is a prescripted way to create a management system. I think there's more and more coherence around the world about what the components are of a well-functioning management system. The fact that we need to integrate the pieces together, that those pieces probably include a planning process where we set priorities, a way to manage daily work, a way to assure people that we're delivering what people would expect, and a way to solve complex problems through quality improvement. I think people are more and more clear that those are the components of the management system. But every organization starts in a different place. Every organization already has some kind of management system because we do our work. We have a way to organize ourselves to deliver things, even though that it might not be optimal. So we're all building from something, and we're all starting in different places. But I would say this is not a technical thing. I don't think it's something you just draw on a piece of paper or present a report on and say, we're now going to do this thing. This is much more of a social phenomena where we need to, over time, gradually bring the pieces together and help people bring some coherence to their work. And the management system should help simplify work for people so that we can easily see in my work, what do I do that helps and how do I set priorities? And what is my role in that? So that there's a cycle of planning and prioritization. We ought to have some way to manage daily work that is sort of slightly standardized so that it's organized and predictable, and that we have clear data we look at, we organize ourselves, and we take decisions where we need to. We need to have a way to problem solve that is standard across the organization so we can learn from each other. And we've got to have some really clear ways to demonstrate that we're meeting the standards people expect from us. Now, those pieces take quite a bit of time to put in place. In East London, we started with a very assurance heavy system. Most of the work was all about meeting standards, demonstrating we were achieving targets. And a lot of health systems around the world will be I imagine, in a similar place where they're mostly demonstrating to other people that they're meeting requirements. And that's your management system. That's where you start. Our next step was to try and rebalance assurance with improvement. When we introduced improvement, we intentionally reduced the burden of assurance and we tried to create a balance between improvement and assurance. We allowed that to sort of take root for a few years before we started to then integrate pieces around planning. So, how do we prioritize and plan every year? And could that have a stronger link with what we are choosing to improve? And then finally, the final piece that we've been working on is the daily management, quality control, and then bringing all those together. Now, to truly have a management system, one person can't own it. Now, whilst in my role as the Chief Quality Officer, I might be sort of the key influencer around that, I need to partner with all of my colleagues in different roles and work way outside my portfolio to be able to create a truly integrated management system. Because this is not just a management system for quality. It needs to be the management system. So when we have a financial issue, we tackle it in the same way. We tackle our workforce in the same way, or safety issues. It is a single language and approach to how we work. And that will take a long time. And you have to, my sense is keep it simple, build it gradually, and try to help people make sense of it in their role so that they can see that it allows them to simplify what they're doing and understand the relevance of it.
One last question for you, Dr. Shaw. As you reflect 10 years out, what are the critical elements to creating an organization that's able to sustain a focus on quality?
Yeah, it's been 15 years now in one organization, and one of the commitments that we made when we began this journey was that we would stay for at least a decade. And so I think there is something about the sort of consistency of leadership and even individuals in sustaining a journey that's quite important. If you have turnover in key individuals, I think it's difficult to sustain a singular focus on this. I think the other aspect I would say is that you have to stay true to whatever you choose, and you have to allow it real time to bed in and be adopted by people. If you start playing with the new next shiny thing every 2 or 3 years and keep meddling with your approach to quality, people will just get lost and confused. Keep it simple and stick with it for over a decade. And that's what we've tried to do. I think the other key thing is to make sure that the work you're doing is really grounded in the things that people care about. If it becomes just about the C-suite and the senior people and the things they're worried about, it's not really going to become part of everyone's daily experience at work. And we've tried really hard to make sure the approach we use to quality is owned by everybody. So that no matter where you work in the organization, you choose the things you want to improve, you choose how you want to assure yourself, you are in control of what you plan and prioritize for your service. That makes it real for people. People own it and they see the relevance of it, and then they feel like it's useful for them and they will keep sustaining it. And I think the final thing I would say is, it is important, I think. I'm not sure we would be where we are without two other things. One is senior expert guidance. So my role in sort of shepherding this over 12, 13, 14 years now, I think has been important. at the sort of most senior level in the C-suite, executive team, and the board. And I think that, most organizations still don't have expertise on quality in their executive team or at their board. And it is a really important skill set. How do we learn? How do we improve? It's hard to imagine an executive team without expertise on finance, and yet we don't give quality the same sort of standing. And I think it has made a difference in this place to have real expertise in quality guiding the journey, and to be humble enough to recognize all through this journey that we won't be able to do it by ourselves. We still need help and support. And so our partnership with, for us, it's been the Institute for Healthcare Improvement, who've been our coaches and our advisors and guides. Still, 15 years later, they still support and coach and mentor us and help us to stay true to this work. So, I think that's important too, finding someone somewhere where you can continue to sort of bring your challenges and get some wisdom and support from.
Thank you. I think that those are great responses to the questions that we have. Thank you for your time today. It's been a real pleasure chatting with you, Dr. Shaw.
Thanks for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks.